How are you doing, guys? Good, good. Are you back on the session number 3, or it's the first time? Who is first time? Okay, a couple of you. Okay, good. Thanks so much for coming back then. It means you're ready for a little bit of a hardcore, isn't it? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, you're kind of like hesitating. But anyway, just a little bit of introduction, yes, for those who are for the first time. And sorry to say that again, for those who are for the second time, and we have to do that. But for sure, we need to say what the session is going to be about. As you see, my name is Paula Januszkiewicz, and basically I'm from Poland, and I'm the CEO of the company that I established some time ago, 11 years already. And basically, together with my team, we're doing a little bit of a research in cybersecurity, doing reverse engineering of different things, writing tools, and so on, which I'm going to be also posting the link at the end of the presentation. I also have access to the source code of Windows. I mentioned that during the first presentation, but it doesn't mean that everything is like super clear. And it doesn't mean that I'm reading it every day, too. It's not even tempting. So basically, this is something that allows myself or my team and myself to do a little bit more research in cyber. Yeah, so it's not 100%, it's like 99%, and that 1% is always very exciting. Today we're going to be also talking about that. And yeah, what we're going to be talking about today is infrastructure behind the scenes, detailed analysis after the hack. So that perspective is going to be related with when someone gets into our infrastructure, what's the perspective that we are having? Yeah? So for example, when we are running something as a user, what can we do? When we are running something as an admin, what can we do? We could be like saying everything, but that's not really a thing to say by the engineer. So our job today is going to be to learn basically what are the scopes that someone can take in order to move forward in the infrastructure. This session, by the way, is inspired by different types of situations that were happening at our customer sites. So just to let you know, because there were many customers of ours that basically they've been attacked, so to say, and their domain controller, it has been compromised, which is bad, we all know. But is it really bad, or is it just a little bit bad? Yeah? So that's something that we will need to learn today. It's going to be intense, because we're going to be also digging into data protection API secrets. One of my favorite subjects. I totally love that, because our team, and absolutely not bragging about it, it's a fact, is the first and the only team, as far as we know, that reverse engineered crypto platform in Windows. So I'm happy to answer all your questions. We're pretty much decrypting everything that moves, kind of, so happy to do that. And the tools are, of course, free. You don't need to register for those. That's a bit of a background there. Okay, so let's start. As always, with a little bit of a story, and there's always some story behind that drives us into conclusion, what can we do, and so on. And that particular story is related with, it's a very short story, it's related with my trip to Siberia, which was very nice, but I sometimes tend to go to places when there is no mobile range and, you know, like security doesn't exist. Or cybersecurity, that's a different thing, right? But anyway, and I had a problem with ordering my food. I speak Russian, not fluent, but also a bit. So basically, when I was ordering, for example, scrambled eggs, I was getting something else. And I'm thinking, is it me or something else, yeah? And I see something in the menu, like in a very like a small bar, and there's like a sausage or something, and I was like, okay, I want this. And then I'm getting, for example, a pancake, yeah? And it's like completely different. Like, and I was pointing to the finger, saying the thing, but I was always getting something else. It was ridiculously funny. Yes, I was making fun of it. So basically, there was this one moment where I'm getting to the bar, and I'm seeing that there's like a cheese sandwich. And I'm like, score, yeah, like no omelet, that's very complex, right? Cheese sandwich, how wrong can you go with the cheese sandwich? So when I see cheese sandwich, I'm like, yeah, I don't want anything else. I just want one-to-one match to what I'm ordering. Yeah, I can eat everything, but I just want to have it done. So I ordered cheese sandwich, and I got this, yeah? Hey, it's a cheese sandwich, right? So I was quite like sad about that, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do then to get it right? Yeah. So I keep trying, and there's a simple conclusion out of that. that means there's always a solution and there's always hope, and better research never hurts. So we just need to be very patient when we are performing the investigation, forensic analysis, and this is the mode that I would like to apply before the presentation, yeah? Using that little bit of a story. For the piece of theory that we have to dig in at the very beginning, let me do that. We have to say, of course, that when we are doing the investigation, analysis, and so on, and starting the incident response procedure, we always have to do a memory dump first and the disk dump second. And what are we looking for? So whenever we've got the memory dump that we are performing, and you can do it, for example, by leveraging FTK tools, or you can do, for example, dump it. Yes, so these are like pretty much the most two important tools out there used in the industry. So FTK is more popular than dump it, and it's used by the governmental organizations too, and so on. Once you do that dump, then you need to search for something, yes? And this is like an endless adventure. You could spend one day on it, you could spend a month, there are books about it, and so on. You can dig in, and the question is, of course, what are we trying to find? And when we look at the slide, you can see a short list of things that are interesting for us, but of course, these are just starting points because they need to lead us to some information. And that information, we need to pretty much know what we want. So for example, why should I care about handles? What handles can bring me? Example, when we've got, for example, a certain type of a file, handles could provide us a list of files that we could maybe extract from the memory. So using the simplest possible example, if Notepad has an open file, there is a handle to it, maybe that piece of text is in the memory, and maybe there's going to be something that's going to be interesting for us. Therefore, I would like to share with you, and let's get into the techie part, an example. So in our team, we participated in a very interesting project where there was, long story short, an admin that was sabotaging the company from the inside. So he was like breaking the servers, and then he was coming all in white saying, hey, I'm gonna fix it for you. Everybody was like, nice, you're great. And he was like, yeah, I'm great. So this is like a little bit of a fireman syndrome thing. Eventually, someone found out that he's doing it. So we were brought to site to investigate, is this really this guy performing this kind of activities? And we found out that that's him. And then basically he got fired and all that stuff, yeah? So interesting thing though was that when we were looking for evidence for what he was doing, one of the things he did, he cleaned up the event log, but because he did not reboot or he did not anything, there was still some signs of the logs within the memory. And we didn't even know that we will be able to find them over there, so we're searching for everything that we can encounter over there. But one of the things we managed to find out was that there were events that could indicate something for us. And this is something that I would like to show you. And this demonstration has two benefits, so to say. One thing is you will see, of course, what kind of information we're able to find in the memory, how to extract files and so on. But the second thing, and this is what I like, because our team reverse engineered EVTX files, which are quite difficult because there's a lot of digital signing inside, we created a tool that allows you to fix EVTX file. Yeah, so for example, when you get a log, when you export it from somewhere, and then you send it somewhere, and then you try to open it, and then it's corrupted, which is very easy, by the way, because this log, as I mentioned, has a lot of digital signing inside, then basically we are having a tool that is, simply speaking, making it to be opened, yes, because we are restructuring the file inside. Let's have a look. First of all, what are we going to do? We're going to play with the dump. Now, handles we mentioned. How do I actually extract from the memory EVTX files? Where are they? Where should I start with? Yeah? So let's do a little bit of a step-by-step analysis. Yeah? In order to be able to do it, I need to ask, most probably, Windows Event Log Service. But I have an offline dump. I have nobody to ask. So how do I know where is actually Windows Event Log Service? We check out, and then we figure that this is actually SVC host. But hey, in the memory, we've got plenty of SVC hosts. So which one are you going to actually pick? We could be doing this in a manual way, which means we're going to go one by one, but we've got no time. Let's do it in a nice way. So we need to find out which SVC host is actually the one. How are we going to find that? By checking which DLL it has loaded. And if it has loaded a Windows Event Log Service DLL, that it actually uses as a service, then it will allow us to identify that that's the one. Okay, so let's see. So first, I'm going to have a memory dump over here, and for that analysis, I'm going to use volatility. In Python, I have an active Python over here installed. That's why I don't need to type Python in front. And the volatility, of course, it's free. Is it great? Yeah, I mean, it's there, so it's good. And memory analysis is challenging, so let's be happy about it. And then we've got a -f. We specify the file profile. We've got that, for example, DLL list. We are extracting over here a list of DLLs to the text file. Let's do that. So we have it. Now, interesting, it's going to take a small while. We have to be quite patient in the memory analysis, but not too long, as you see. And then basically DLL.txt contains the list, and let me put it here, of different types of processes that were running out there in Windows, with DLLs loaded. Okay, so what are we looking for? We are looking for for EVT in general. So some DLL that represents the service itself. That's not this one, so let's go further. That's this one, WEVT SVC DLL that you can guys see on the screen, selected. That's the one that we are interested in. And over here, we can also see the process ID. That's SVC host process ID 4848. Awesome. So we've got the guy that has handles to files, we don't know these handles yet, that we are about to extract from the memory dump. So it's like step, 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 yeah? But this is an ultimate way really of doing it, yeah? So let's have a look. So here, what we're gonna do, so right now, we're gonna be dumping files. And over here, I'm gonna use the command dump files. And what is interesting right now is that in order to be able actually to dump these files, we need to specify the parameters that will actually allow us to identify the process itself. Yeah? So in this particular case, we will need to specify the process. So let me actually get there. Here we go. So this was a 848, so dump files, we've got this. And then we're going to do for this one -p. For the process identifier, and then we're going to do -n. I'm going to reuse the switch because we need to keep the names of the files, so if that's okay. And then basically we're going to do the -D, and then we're going to dump it to some certain type of a folder. And this folder we can just technically create. So I will name it on my side file handles. Let's do everything fresh. And then basically, to this point, we're going to load, of course, all the stuff. So let me do that. So we've got a folder already. And then we're going to do it file, handles, and then the folder itself. OK, let's do it. So what does it do? It actually gets into the process 848 and dump files. So it looks at the handles. And from these handles, it goes to the memory, and it extracts files. Have a look. We've got a list of EVT access. Yeah? So we are getting them. But the problem is that they are not consistent because of its internal structure, okay? So what we're going to do, this DLLs we don't need, so let me just break it. What we're going to do right now, from this file handles directory, we're going to take these files, so these are the ones that are created. And what I want to show you, let's just list one, application log, that's this one. I'm going to take this guy, copy, and I'm going to put it into my working folder for the demonstration, okay? To show you that this file itself, it's not the one that we are able actually to open, yeah? That's very interesting because, as we already mentioned, it's inconsistent, yeah? Okay, so let me do that. Here we go, I already pasted it. So here we go, this is our working folder. Now, I'm going to rename this guy just to show you that it basically doesn't work. So EVTX, okay, enter. It takes a moment because it needs to check this digital signatures inside and so on. So basically we'll need to wait for it for the moment so that we learn, here we go, it's like expand. Yeah, so this is basically what's happening right now. And in a moment we're going to learn that, yep, query error, that this one is corrupted. Yeah, okay, so that's not very sad situation when we're going to go to the out folder. This would be the place where we're going to be putting the good file, okay? So let's learn how to fix this. And this is probably the simplest tool we've got, yeah? So let's see. I'm going to get into Tools, CQ, Tools, like this, and then CD, CQ, and this is at EVTX recovery. Now, this tool is the simplest tool, as I mentioned, because it takes 2 parameters, guys, in, and then you specify the folder name, which is in, and then out, and then you specify the folder name out, and then it fixes it, yeah? So we've got right now 17 records recovered from the EVTX file that was out there somewhere hanging in the memory, yeah? So this is this piece that you will not find in the EVTX when it's written down on a disk. So this is this missing element, maybe. Yeah, we don't know. So interesting fact is that let's try to, of course, to open it. So we're gonna go to out, and then let's just run this guy. And in the event log, we're gonna have that opened in a second. Here we go, I got that opened. And then basically, let's see, this is this one. In the bottom, save logs, that's the one that we are opening here, yeah? So if ever, it doesn't have to be from the memory, that's my point. So if you will ever have any type of an EVTX file corrupted, this is pretty much the way to fix it. So it could not be simpler. Okay, fantastic. Now, whenever we are thinking, of course, about this memory thing, yeah, so what else is disturbing when we are looking for different types of traces? So what I would like to do right now is to perform one attack. It's one of the simplest attacks possibly, but to find it actually, to find what happened, it's quite difficult, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. This attack that I'm mentioning over here, it's SMB relay. You guys know? Yeah, okay, some of you do, okay. This is basically one of the attacks that I'm starting, like when I'm doing the pen test, I'm starting with this attack because it pretty much always works, and it relies on 2 things, really. One, it's NTLM version 2 authentication, and the second thing is that it relies also on SMB not being signed. That's why this attack works. And there's a couple of things that we could also introduce to fix it, like, for example, we could prevent running the code that we don't know, and so on, but that's like further steps. Initial point of entry is NTLM version 2 and SMB not being signed. Okay, this attack is going to be super quick, but my goal is to analyze this from the client perspective. So we're going to go to the client and we're going to see what actually happened. Yeah? So still in the memory subject. So let's see. We've got over here a bit of a Linux. Here we go. That's this one. And this attack I've already prepared because it's like so easy. So I got over here Metasploit running just for the little bit of explanation. And I set use exploit mildly handler. And then we've got set payload Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP enter. Then one more thing, set lhost. I will need to set up over here the IP address, and then we are done. Yeah. So here the only thing we will need to run is exploit. What we're going to do over here is listen. Because this is not an attack over here. We're just saying, hey, when someone's going to connect to us, give it a payload of Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP. So that's it. So it's a listener that handles the connection. Yeah. Now the real stuff is over here that says Python SMB relay X py, and then we are attacking this target, so 10.10.10.250, and on the execution we're going to run CQ shell 104a.exe. What is the CQ shell 104a.exe? Let me explain so that everything is like super clear. We're going to bring this console out for the second. Okay, and we've got over here CQ reverse shell generator. This is a, like the name stands for itself, a tool that we've written to generate for ourselves during the project, and we share it, a reverse shell. So basically a simple executable that when you're going to serve it, someone runs it, then it connects back to you, simply. Yeah? It's the tool actually, it's kind of cool because these shells are not recognized by classic antivirus solutions. Yeah? But of course, a non-executable connecting to the network, when you've got an intelligent threat detection, would be detected. Yeah? So just saying. And this works very simply. You specify over here IP address and the port. Yeah, so that's it. So when someone clicks on it, it just connects to this IPN port. Okay, so this is it. Yeah, so we are done over here, and we are done over here. Now, what are we waiting for? We are waiting for NTLM version 2 authentication somewhere. So let me trigger it from my side, so that we are able to capture the, as we call it, authentication response, and relay it somewhere else. And somewhere else was going to be our target, and it will accept it. And the problem is, it works. Because that protocol is like that. Yeah? That's why it's so straightforward, so simple. Okay, cool. So we're pretty much done with this. Now, on my side, I'm going to make an NTLM version 2 authentication, which can happen if we query certain type of an IP address in a network, for example, so not using the fully qualified domain name, but just a short name or IP address. Yeah? So this is how do we query NTLM version 2. So I'm doing this on my side, and over here, I got like one session open, yes, and I can do PS to list interesting processes, and I'm looking for something cool. It could be maybe this one, Spooler, why not? So we could do, no, Spooler is maybe not a good idea, SVC host is a good idea. So 972, migrate, 972. I hope I managed to do it in time because we've got like 15 seconds. I always talk a lot, so that could be a problem sometimes. Not this time though. Okay, good. So we've got that. And then it says migrating from 2524 to 972. So we had some 2524. We had some protocols like this. What is this? Let's find it on the list. 2524. Okay, so that's this one. EGT or seal something. Yeah. So this is a randomly generated name by the script. So this was this reverse shell that we served. It was renamed, and then basically it connected back to me over here, and then we migrated to the other process. Yeah? So this is in general one of the classic exploitation techniques while we are not loading the full DLL into the file, when we are loading a certain piece of a code. That's why it's quite difficult to find it, because we could be like, if it's a DLL, let me search for this DLL, bang, that's this process. But not really know, because in this case, how do you know which process actually has this piece of code that we have just loaded over there? Yeah? Let's find out. That's why we are here. So we've got 2524. Let's get to our target, and our target is here. Here we go. And within our target, we're going to be playing around a little bit. It doesn't really matter which system is this, but what matters is let me actually give it an admin access over here, because we will need to analyze it a little bit better. Okay, funny fact is that we're going to be using netstat over here to check for the connections, and this is basically what requires a bit of an access. So we've got a netstat, and we're going to do netstat with the 3 parameters, A and O maybe, and then parameter more, to show you something. Please have a look. We've got a connection over here. So we're like, yes, found it. Yeah? Of course, if it's an attack that is happening live. And then we see 10 to 50, we've got a connection to the hacker machine established on the process 2524. We're like, hell yeah, let's find it. And then what we do, we go to the process hacker, so happy that we've got the guy, and then there's this ice cream falling on the floor. And then where is this process? We don't see it. We don't see that process ID. That's my point. Yeah? What are we looking for? Just a reminder, 2524. Yeah? And also we could see it over here. Yeah? 2524. Why we cannot see it? Because netstat is a liar. That's why. Yep. So what netstat does, it actually caches the first process ID that the connection is established with, and it never refreshes it. And we're like, oh, netstat is such a cool tool. Nope, not in this case. Yeah. So we're like, okay. So where do we go now? Yeah, where do we go now? If you had some kind of a process tracking, if you had in general even a basic process tracking in Windows, you can build a tree on the top of that, and you can see how basically what was happening. Yes, but again, within the process migration, that depends on what type of solution you use. It might be somewhat difficult. Sysmon could maybe help it a little bit. Yeah, but here we're not able to see like anything right now. So what am I supposed to do now? Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit, because we could be spending ages here. But my goal for this exercise is to show you one thing, that if we go to the appropriate process, we're like, oof, we found it, kind of thing. Let me actually move it, show details for all the processes. Let me elevate it. Here we go. And we're going to go to our process that is interesting for us. So this 972 that we've been migrating to. When we go into the memory, then that is exactly what we are looking for. Yeah, so we've got over here modified memory address. So we've got a RWX flags That's not something that's supposed to be here. It means that in this process, we are not only able to read from that certain memory address, but also to write to it and also execute from it. That's basically what happened during this process migration. So when you're going to see that, that's bad. It means that in this process, there's a piece of code that maybe, potentially, we should have a look at, and then it's getting difficult. Well, difficult. It takes longer time, yes? So everything is just very relative. So at the end, this is what I wanted to show you. Now, okay, but this is live. What if, leveraging the statistics that were also mentioned by the former FBI director James Comey, he said that average amount of days from the moment someone is getting hacked, from these things are getting discovered, it's 200. Yeah, so that's quite. Is it good or bad? What do you think? Bad. Is there someone that finds it good? I'm trying to have a positive look at this. At least we found it, yeah? So that's kind of like, it's kind of good, kind of. But, okay, so this is a long time, no doubt, for sure. So basically, this attack, let's say it happened 200 days ago, you kind of feel something is wrong. What do we do? Where do we go? On the previous presentation, I was mentioning that, okay, we can go to the USN Journal, but Journal, it's gone now. Because after that time, it's going to be overwritten like 10 times, yeah? We could be, of course, having a look at the process tracking. Probably that log will be gone too, yeah? Because it's going to be rolling over, yeah? Maybe this machine has been rebooted already. Like, we don't know. So there's a different conditions that could, after that 200 days, to completely destroy our evidence. But there are actually two things we could focus on. One thing, and that's very simple, it's related with, if it's turned on, gathering information about history of what do we run in Windows. And this is a side effect of something that we call prefetch, right? So basically, when we go to Windows and then prefetch, there is a service, Superfetch, that gathers information about what do we run upon schedule, so that before you even think about clicking something, that's going to load it to the memory and it's going to say, haha, in the morning, Visual Studio, it's in a memory already, so it's quick, yeah? With the SSD drives, it's somewhat useful, but at least we got this. Okay, so once we do this, continue, here, we're able to see chronologically that the date modified, what's happening. Of course, again, leveraging knowledge from the previous session that we had, we learned that metadata can be changed. And prefetch could be deleted, that's another part. But let's say we're going to focus on this one right now. And remember, in our execution, we were actually executing this type of file. Yeah, so we're able to see that there's this EGT or something, yeah? Just for the comparison, of course, this is basically in Linux right now, the file that was executed, yeah? So we look at this file and we're like, okay, that sounds bad. Maybe we should analyze it. How do we do that? Well, simple. Prefetch is not very complex. So we can do right-click, copy as path, and in the console, let me just get into tools. I'm going to use for that CQ prefetch parser, and I'm going to specify -F, it's one of our tools, and then -A for analysis, enter. And then in here, you are able to see, so let me just make it a little bit to this direction, you're able to see what kind of DLLs were loaded. Yeah, you can see also the file name, the path, and so on, about the file itself. But you can also see a little bit of more details about when was the time it was executed, and then basically anything else, specific file references, was it related with any other files, some paths. So it's not that exciting. It does not allow you directly to connect it with certain type of a user, but at least it shows you something. Okay, if it was called Notepad, let me ask you guys this question. If it was called Notepad, what would be the thing in this view that will make it disturbing for you? That you are like, it's not Notepad, someone is cheating on me. What that would be? Location could be, of course, yeah, could be. What else? Creation date, could be, but let's remember that we can change that. But yes. File references, Notepad actually has some. Signature, yeah, definitely, of course. But here we are not able to see that. But if we did the further analysis, that will be the thing. One more thing, guys. What is unusual here? If it's Notepad, that would not be this. Run count, thank you. Yeah, exactly, 1. It's strange. That's my point. So when you see something even that has a nice name, you're like, once, only once? That's weird, yes? So let's have a deeper look. And then you go maybe to the Windows indexing service, then you try to recover this file, and so on. So this is what we were doing also on the previous session. So a little bit of analysis over here. Okay, good. So this is a bit of a look on what and how we are able to investigate what happened. Okay, one more thing. So when someone opens something in Windows, and I would like to show you this before we get into the interesting another scenario. There is something in Windows that we call jump list. Jump lists, or JMP lists, as we call them, they are also defined by the name that we call automatic destinations. I have no idea why some of the books that are in forensics, they don't mention it. It's not a very popular place to go to, but it's a very juicy place to go to. This is something that I would like to show you. So another part. And no, though what is important to mention is that this can be also deleted, yes? So just saying, so this is one of this evidence that all of these things could be deleted, but maybe it's there and it's going to provide us something. Have a look. I'm going to use for this purpose something called Structured Storage Viewer. What is this? It's just a free tool. That's it, yeah? It's a cool enough for showing you and cool enough for displaying just a simple structure here. I like that tool for this. So here we go. What we're going to do, when I go to File, in number 3, let me enlarge this, you're able to see this path. See users, Paula, Updata, Roaming, Microsoft Windows, Recent, Automatic Destinations. It's a hidden folder, so you have to type the whole thing. And it's also information that is stored in a user's profile. So if user has access to his profile, and it does, that can be deleted too without having administrative access, just saying. But here, I'm going to select this 9B9C. What is this? What is this number about? So every application, and this is a pretty cool scientific thing, based on certain algorithm of calculating this number, every app that runs in Windows has this number assigned. So it doesn't have to be Microsoft's app. It can be any type of app. And basically here, when you've got 9B, 9C, and so on, this number is reflecting Notepad. So when we're going to go this, then basically, this is a live thing on my laptop, for example. If I click structure number 10, you are able to see what type of files I've been interacting with while playing with Notepad. What is the conclusion out of that? Both prefetch and automatic destinations, it's a cache that it's not gone, it doesn't disappear. So basically, what is positive is that you can have it 200 days old, but this will be still there. That's my point, yeah? So what is this providing us? The history of every single file that you have ever opened within the app. So if you got a user, for example, that is digging into the files that it shouldn't, for some reason, I don't know, then you come to the user and say, hey, you opened this file. And user is like, no, I didn't. And you're like, back, automatic destinations. You're like, yes, you did. This is an Excel spreadsheet that you have opened. Here we go, yeah? And so on, yeah? If you did something, if you open something in general by yourself, then it might make sense to delete automatic destinations, saying. Yeah, so this, what I said, has nothing to do with what I will say right now, but what we had, actually this is a sad subject, so don't get me wrong, but in general we had a case where we were analyzing some, sorry for the subject, but it's a true story, pornography case, yeah? And it was a very bad case. So eventually, one of the things that we used to find, not really evidence, because it's not an evidence, it's an indication, because it's only a file name, right? So everybody could name files in certain ways. But that was an indication that just pretty much made us to do a little bit of a deeper analysis of what was happening. And eventually, there was a person who ended up in prison and so on, yeah? So this was a pretty cool thing to dig into. And you can see the whole history since you've installed Windows of what you've been playing with. Okay, cool. So now, what is important is what kind of information we are able to get access to when we are running things as user. And let's get into a little bit of a cryptography, if you don't mind. It's going to be cool. So prepare yourself for a little bit of a ride now. Data encryption, yeah? What? That's very cool. Okay, thank you for this. Not that I'm not enjoying it, it's cool. Okay, so we've got Windows that uses the following algorithms. Yeah, so we are able to see over here, this is in general, of course, Windows is able to use more, but that's what we see when we are playing with data cryptography, and these are the most commonly used algorithms. So this is basically what you are dealing with when you are analyzing different types of data structures. Now, when hacker, for example, let's call it this way, manages to get access to the user's workstation, this particular person is able to access to all of the secrets that you guys are processing. Let me show you this in a practical example, okay? And this is one of my absolutely favorite subjects, so I'm quite excited about that. Okay, so what we're gonna do over here. First of all, I'm gonna log on as Freddy, like this. That's this guy. It's gonna be a good user this time. So we got a Freddy Krueger password. I'm showing you this because it's important. Okay, and then we're gonna log on and then that's it, yeah? Good. So next stage is gonna be, okay, can Freddy, for example, get access to his passwords in Chrome? And answer is yes, but that's weird, yeah? Because Chrome should be the one accessing Freddy's passwords because it's password stored in Chrome, not Chrome Pass, which is whatever app. What's the first conclusion over here? That if things are running as user, yeah, then we are getting access to any other secrets that are stored by users. What are those secrets? Oh, come on. It was exciting. Okay. So what are the secrets? So it could be, for example, Outlook passwords that we store, password stores in a browser, your private keys, any type of authentications that are used within the apps that are actually leveraging data protection APIs, so the crypto platform in Windows. Now, leveraging here a real story, I was doing the pen test and I managed to get access to a certain server which was running the vulnerable Java application, of course. And long story short, I managed to become local system, and then I've seen what type of users are logged on that server, and there was one of the admin guys, server guys, and then basically I managed to become this guy, and then I hopped into his laptop, yeah? So on his laptop, what I did, and this was the first thing, so I did exactly what you see right now. I ran the Chrome Pass in order to extract passwords that this guy potentially might be storing in Chrome. And score, one of the things that I managed to extract was a password to like this web servers that are managing passwords in organizations. So he was actually, ironically, storing password to that central websites managing passwords, yeah? There was also, by the way, account to his girlfriend's, there's also access to like Victoria's Secret's account that his girlfriend was using, something like this. I remember, because I always remember these things, her name was Julie. Okay, anyway. But yeah, okay, let's move forward. So we've got this one, yeah? Chrome Pass. So how and under which conditions I'm able to get access to these secrets if, for example, I'm not this user, yeah? So that is also interesting, because if there are any other users, like what would be my spread over here? Let's have a look. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna reboot this machine. Yes, restart anyway. And I'm gonna do this demonstration from the offline perspective. And the only reason I'm doing it is because, let's just do that. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because it's more linear to do it offline, yeah? Of course, BitLocker could protect it, yeah? So it would be unfair to say it won't, but you can also do it online. It's just, it's easier to explain when I'm doing it offline, but the outcome is exactly the same. So let's do it offline if you don't mind. So basically, what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna override something that we call cache log on data. The reason why I will do this demonstration because I would like to show you the scope. What does it mean when domain controller can be hacked in organizations? We know that, but wait for this. So we're gonna go command prompt, and let me just go to the CQ tools, and let me quickly enlarge this, because we will need to see what's happening. Yeah, here we go. Okay, and then we're gonna go to Kiwi Secure Edition, and in Mimikatz, I'm going to use, this is a Secures edition, this is our module, basically. This is, of course, Benjamin's tool, but that module is our module. LSA dump, cache, and then I'm going to override cache log on data. So system32 config, and then system, and Windows Windows, there's no tab, so I have to type it, system32 config security/kiwi. So right now, I'm overriding cache logon data so that I'm going to log on to that system with a different password, and you will see that these secrets are password dependent, and this is a good news. Of course, we're not here for good news, but for now it's going to be a good news. Yeah. So here we go. So I'm going to disconnect this computer from the network to be able actually to log on with the cache logon data. So not connected, not connected. Cache logon data is overwritten. Continue. The reason why I don't call it cache credentials because these are not credentials. Yes, but sometimes in general we call it cache credentials, but they're not because we cannot log on with them. We can only compare with them. Yeah, and they are stored in the registry in a not reversible form. Okay, so let's have a look. So we've got here Freddy, and then I'll try to log on with the password, like this one. That doesn't work. This is a domain account, yeah, so signing to secure domain. So my password over here that we have pre-generated while performing the previous operation, it's mimikant, enter, and we are logging on as a domain user with a different password. Yes, just because we compared with the cache logon data. This obviously violates anything like non-repudiation and so on, which is another part of the subject. But let's have a look if we're able actually to get access to that particular password. And Chrome Pass, as you can see, we're not. It's going to take some time. Now, why not? Because data protection API secrets, which this one is encrypted with our passwords hash. Yeah? But not only that, but in this case, we are leveraging this. It's also encrypted, by the way, for the domain users with something that we call public key of the domain. And this is weird, because this public key of the domain, we're able to see over here, %appdata%, like this. And then we go to Microsoft, Protect, SID, and then we've got BK domain name. So if your computer is a member of the domain, 100% you have this, okay? But the problem is that this public key of the domain is the same for every single user in the organization. Was the question to be asked? Why? Okay, why? Why? I don't know why. But it's a good question for sure. The question should be, where's the private key? Yeah, who has the private key? That's the case, because who has the private key, this person will be able to decrypt every single person's secret in this domain. So if you are in an organization that has 100,000 people, that private key guy, it's like the master of puppets. Yeah, he's like, I'm decrypting you all, kind of thing. So let me show you how to extract that key, okay? Of course, I mean, we are here for this. So let's have a look further. So I'm going to get into the domain. So within the domain, this is going to be super easy, by the way. So I'm going to get into tools. And then we've got a tool for that. It's called CQ Elsa Secrets Dumper. Yeah, this tool consists of over 40 tiny tools for the data protection API. This is part of our research. It looks like we're doing nothing because it's so easy to export that key. CQ Elsa Secrets Dumper file exported PFX, enter, that's it, yeah, so we're truly doing nothing. And then basically, we don't have to import it, but I would like to show you, okay? Password is secure, like this. Next, finish, okay, import successful. Let's have a look, certmgr.msc. This is really something that you guys don't want to leak, but there is a bit of a problem. This is never renewed. So if your domain controller is getting hacked, this is horrible, but this is even more horrible because we can reset all of the passwords. We can reset Kirby TGT as many times as you want, but this certificate, you can't. So the first moment you have created your domain in whatever, 2003, this is exactly the same since then. Basically, you can ask the questions like, if I rise functional level of the domain, will that be changed? No. If I do this, if I whatever run the command, no. If you migrate, whatever, no. Whatever you ask, answer is no. And basically, this never gets renewed, so to say. Yeah, never means never. Okay, so bad news is that it's based on SHA-1, and it's 2048. Yes, in 2019. It's a bit of a interesting situation. But anyway, this is something to protect, yeah? And this is stored in a form of a key in ntds.dit, yeah? So basically, this is something that you are able to find within the domain, yeah? So you were able to find it over here, yeah? So this is basically the backup key, the private key that we got. Okay, now let's have a look basically at one quick thing, how we're able to get access to these secrets, all right? And these secrets, we are on the client's machine right now, should be found out first. So in order to be able to find it, I'm gonna search for secrets by using one of my favorite tools actually, which is called CQ DPAPI Blob Searcher. And within the CQDPI blob searcher, we need to specify the folder, Freddy Krueger, and then it's going to be appdata for local Google. So for example, for Chrome, it's going to be this folder. And then here we're going to specify recursive, and then we're going to specify the output to CQ tools like this, enter. And then here, yeah, let's see, we are looking for different types of entries. And here we found the blobs that are, and the master key names that are encrypting these secrets. That's this B55. By the way, my personal comment, one of the reasons why I'm not using Google Chrome is because for secret protection, there is a SHA-1 and triple des. Come on, yeah? Okay, so I'm like, you know, this is a personal relationship. Okay, so we've got this, we've got this B55, so let's have a look what we can do with it, yeah? So there is this name. When we get into this folder where we've got this key, we can find B55. And we've got B55, that's going to be this master key we will need to work on. We're almost there. Copy as path. Okay. So, in order to be able to use this knowledge, what we're going to do, we're going to first calculate the hash of my current password. So that's my current password. And then I'm going to use CQ master key AD with the file to work on. So that's this, let me just copy it once again. So shift, right click, copy as path. This guy, here we go. Paste, here we go. And then we're going to do here PFX exported because I already copied this from the domain. And then we've got new hash, and that's going to be this value that we're going to be working on. Enter. Last part. Enter. We are decrypting this particular master key that was encrypted with our current password hash, the previous one, with the private key from the domain. So what's going to happen? So this one has a name AD modified, so we will need to simply replace them. So this one's going to be good and AD modified. Let's just rename it. Here we go. And we're going to do that. So we replace this. This one, though, has a blank icon. So one more step, and the last step, attribute. So we are setting up attribute, look at the end, of a system and hidden. And that's why Data Protection API will take that into consideration. So I'm doing right-click and just enter to set the attribute. And this password of the user that wasn't visible, it's visible. Yeah? It's a bad news. Yeah? So long story short, what happened? Yeah? What happened over here is that just because there is a possibility to get this private key from the domain, basically, you are able, so this is a little bit of a schema here, you are able to decrypt different types of secrets of people in the organization. So simply, someone who is a domain admin or someone who has access to the domain controller in general, backup of the domain controller, and so on, or, important, someone who has a permission on the domain of replicating directory changes all, which was an old setup for SharePoint and so on. So please check it in your infrastructure if you have this permission, or who has this permission. Usually it's service account for profile replication and so on. These guys are able to get these keys. Yeah? Now, how does it look in your infrastructure? You will check, but my point is that if sometimes it is important to know how far we are able to get within the attack and how this attack can escalate. Because we're like, yeah, domain controller has been hacked. That's bad. Let's monitor things. Yeah, that's what our customers say. This is good because we have no choice. But in the backside of our heads is that you cannot get back to the original state. However hard you try, you will need to set up a new domain. And for the big organization, that's like, whew. Yeah. So this is basically the bad news. Sorry to bring the bad news. But in general, what's the summary? Yeah. So when we are thinking, of course, about different types of accesses, yeah, when we are thinking about the scope, how far can we go? What is important and what this presentation in general was about was the possibility when we are in a certain type of a place in the infrastructure to see where for real I have actually access to. And when we are performing the forensics, for example, that's always my perspective. Okay, hackers get there, great. What could they get? Could they extract the passwords from the service accounts? Could they do this? Could they do that? Could they actually get the certificate? Why, for example, one of the users is posting on Facebook strange stuff about that you are doing harassment even though you don't, and that kind of stuff, yeah? I know it's horrible, but that's one of the concepts here, yeah? So this certificate allows you to extract secrets of every single person in the organization, and if that leaks, that's not good. So yet another important reason to make sure that when we are actually implementing different types of protection mechanisms, we don't skip these most important components in the infrastructure, like domain controller. And I'm not saying anything outstanding over here. We know that it's to be protected, but that is a very important reason why nothing that we don't know should never run on a domain controller. Yeah? Okay, so with this positive accent, summarizing the presentation, we all know incident response procedure is an important thing to do, but the goal of this presentation was to show you that it's obviously worth to know more in forensics, and the more we know, the better forensics and the better analysis of the attack we're able to perform. So a little bit of that. Okay, guys, so if you will have any questions, I'm here, happy to help. Don't forget the quiz. This is basically the knowledge that we are sharing with our team. To get the slides and tools, this is basically our link, secureacademy.com. There is a post that is sharing all of the tools from this presentation at Ignite. And some of the guys were asking, so let me also share it. We've got something like that for 2020. This is an advanced Windows security course. We run it only once a year. So if you ever wish to participate, feel free, of course, to register yourself and so on. I'm bad at marketing, but it's a cool stuff. Our team is designing new content literally every single year. So this is basically a little bit of a case. Okay, so slides and tools, that's it. Thank you so much for coming and see you next year.